Shamata. Welcome to our next series of podcast of Dharma Speaks. Today we have our close friend Harsha Bandaru, who is an entrepreneur of a digital media enterprise. And I call him director, though he says he's upcoming, but I know the capability of him. And he has shot many corporate videos. He has created a great brand for himself in terms of filmmaking or art of movie making, I would say. We have learned a lot of things in our podcast. We have discussed many things which are very contemporary, but we got the Dharmic concepts from him. The reason why we get a lot of diverse views in Dharma is because our Sanatan Dharma is very diverse. It has opportunity and window for everyone. That's why we are getting different wider perspectives of Dharma. And this is one of the episode which I really enjoyed a lot because Harsha is like my brother and I've been with him since probably 2 years, but I feel that I should have met him 20 years back. We would have got many more memories, I would say. But I'm sure we create more memories and we'll be as friends as like this forever. Thank you. Shamata, Harsha.
Hello.
Thanks
First,
for coming.
I just want to know what is Shamata.
Shamata is a Upanishad word. It comes from one of the Upanishad which is told by Gurudev to us. And the word actually means, may peace and tranquility be with you. Tranquility ante peace anna okate అనిపిస్తుంది. But tranquility ante well-being. Physical well-being, mental well-being, metaphysical well-being. So overall comprehensive well-being మీకు ఉండాలి అని చెప్పడాన్ని మేము ఒకటే వర్డ్లో శమత అంటాం. సో ఎవరు కనిపించినా ఎవరు విష్ చేసినా ఫస్ట్ చెప్పే వర్డ్ శమత.
So is it derived from
it's a word which comes from Upanishads.
Okay.
And last podcast లో మీరు చూసుకుంటే ఉదయ్ గారు he explained where the word comes from. Shiva. Shambho. Sham word comes from Shambho, Shiva. So it comes from Shiva. So the greeting comes from Shiva itself.
Nice.
So Shamata.
Shamata.
Toon Pandas. Chala variety name. How did it start? Like, why did you get that name and where did its journey start?
2014 I started the company. And the name Toon Pandas sounds very simple, but I think I wrote about 160 names.
Wow.
160 names of my favorite animals combined with some animation. And so I kept voting. I just put a voting kind of a thing with my friends, creating a group and all. And most of them like Toon Pandas. So basically it was going well with Food Panda at that time. So we were like, it might work with SEO and all. But still, I love pandas. My favorite animated movie itself is Kung Fu Panda.
Nak kuda.
And then what happened was I was contemplating if it should be Toon or not.
Okay.
The problem was if at all I do shoots in future, because back then when I started it was only animation.
Okay.
Corporate animation films, explainer videos, training videos. I was little apprehensive about if that name would go well or not. Then I was like, no, chuck it, let's go with Toon. I love cartoons. I love pandas. So that was a very simple call that I took, but the exercise was too much. So in the voting also, some people didn't like Toon Pandas. I was asking them, why not? They were like, it is too fun, it doesn't sound corporate and all. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I didn't want to sound corporate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did many corporate videos after starting Toon Pandas. 10 years. Congratulations for completing a decade of things. But you are a director. For me, you are a wonderful director. When it comes to corporate ad filmmaking or a movie filmmaking or a direction, do you find any similarities or it's totally different ballgame altogether?
Technically, the tools you use, the gear you use, the equipment and all that you use is pretty much same. But in the corporate side, it is much more simpler.
Oh.
Yeah. Though, so my clients just want me to, record whatever they have done for their company and show it as a corporate video. Like, it's like a showcase of what they have done in... what is their future plans and their employee testimonials and all that. But still I try to create a story there. While I'm editing, in fact, I tell my clients also that I'm trying to find a story in what you're saying. Let it not just make statements, series of statements. Let's try bringing out a story in that. I think that came because I always liked storytelling.
Okay.
Even in my school, like I used to watch a film. I come, I enhance, add some masala, and then I give my own narration. And when my friends used to go to the theater and watch and come back, then they were like, "Arey, this scene was not there in the movie." So I kind of add that kind of drama in my own sense.
Okay.
So even in the corporate films, I try to bring that. In ad films, it is a little different when it comes to narrative because you need to impress the client in a very fast glimpse.
Okay.
Maybe 30 seconds. Sometimes it's only 10 seconds. Or sometimes 1.5 minutes. It's a good time. But still, you need to just give the features and still not make it boring. And you have to impress them in the first glance. Like, for example, let's say the product is looking boring. We still have to enhance it.
Okay.
Okay. At times, we get clients like, their product only won't be ready.
Oh.
Then we have to do dummies.
Okay.
And you have to add some effects to that in the CG and all that.
Okay.
These things also happen. Like we need to cover up at times. But I can't even complain about that. Maybe that's the job.
Okay.
I always expect a good planning from the client side as well, but that always won't work.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of technicalities, it's the same. But when it comes to narrative, it is very, very different. Here it is impressing with one shot. Like at the max I'll take is like 12 to 14 shots for an ad film.
Right.
But in a film, it goes up to 2,500, 3,000 shots. Sometimes even more.
Okay.
For a film like KGF, I don't know how many shots. So yeah.
So we have this concept in our management time consulting. You should be able to explain the concept on an ice cream stick. If it's ice cream stick, you should be able to write. అదే రామాయణంలో తీసుకుంటే కట్టే కొట్టే తెచ్చే దట్స్ ఆల్ హోల్ రామాయణం అయిపోయింది ఇట్స్ ఇన్ 3 words. Ad is like that for me. So when you shoot, do you keep that in concept of should I explain in 10 seconds or you shoot full of them and cut it into that way? Like how do you think, what is your thought process?
Time limit is already there.
Right.
The client only will give us the time limit.
Okay.
Because their TV room or theater room in the sense the slot that they would get,
right,
they would define it because theater cost is per second.
Right.
Even TV cost is per second. So like how they can afford it makes sense.
Okay.
But I would suggest them for a bigger cut also.
Okay.
Where they can get informed about the entire thing. Let's say about the product maybe for 2 minutes. Then I'll make a very short cut. A 30 second or a 45, 50 second cut.
Okay.
To impress them from these things. Because this would help like an explainer video. And this would help like an ad to impress.
Right.
Yeah. But typical ad films, they don't even care about the 1.5 minute cut. They just want to shoot in one day.
Okay, that 30 seconds is most important to them.
Important thing. No. From the 30 seconds, they'll always take a 10-second cut later because the budgets will fall once it doesn't perform. But they still want to finish the number of seconds they have taken as slot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're talking about your school time where you're telling about stories and all. But I know your college, IIT. Should we say all dropouts are always success? I don't know whether I can generalize it. We have Bill Gates and...
No, if you're clear of what you're doing and then you're dropping out, makes sense.
Okay. So when did you drop out, Harsha?
2011 in my final year.
Final year?
In my final year.
Last step?
Last sem only.
Okay, last sem.
Last sem. Like I finished my 3-1.
Okay.
And I've even applied for jobs outside and that also I've cracked. But at the same time, I was getting a different opportunity.
Okay. For movie making?
For not movies, learning animation and visual effects in a big academy in California.
So you just left it?
Yeah, I just left it.
Excellent.
So I was fortunate that, there is a lot of skepticism, especially being born and brought up in a little conservative family. Not very conservative, but I should say I was brought up in a colony.
Oh.
Steel Plant Township.
Oh, Vizag.
And, Vizag. And I was a little popular because of my painting.
Uh-huh.
So because of that benchmark, every time people would refer me as an inspiration to someone and all.
Okay.
But I was a very introvert kid. I was not realizing this part. So when I got IIT seat, people were... I was very overwhelmed. I didn't understand what is happening around me when I got my IIT seat. After entering IIT, I realized that this is not my place. Though it was very comfortable.
Okay.
Even the location of IIT Madras is something like Steel Plant, the place I grew up. Serene, calm and all that, greenery, all this is there. my single room, internet, games. I need not study too much there. Still, I was missing something there. Though I had a very ideal life of what an IITian should have, it was not pleasing me. Then I in my final year, Seventh Sense movie shooting was there.
Right.
Eda Marivu, Tamil movie, Surya sir's thing, and I entered the team. No one knew I was inside. So the shoot was happening in the backyard of IIT, and I just got in. I was lying to everyone. I am not at all a good liar. That's why I got caught after a month.
After a month?
Yeah. So I was caught by the director, and they understood ki...
you were working for them, like without them knowing.
Yeah. I was into editing. I said I'm from the editing side. To the editing room, I said I'm from the direction side. So because of that miscommunication, I was caught.
Nice. They
got clarity ki this guy is fishy because I was unable to speak Tamil.
Oh.
So I was managing in Telugu and English. And back then, it was not easy for other language people to be in Tamil industry.
Yeah.
So I got caught really quick.
Yeah. So nice journey, but you learnt IIT. IIT is not a small thing to crack. There are millions of people who are aspiring for it.
Right.
But you would have learnt a lot of things that. Does it help anything in filmmaking or any concept of things?
Not in terms of technical things.
Okay.
But now I'm much better in terms of communication.
Wonderful.
I was not into debates or anything, but the kind of people I met were from across India. Across the country, people have come, and some German exchange programs and all were happening. So I was into dance, I was into football, except academics, I was into everything. So which is why I could communicate with others. Like a very introvert Harsha opened up a little in IIT. But out of necessity, I had to open up too much because of Toon Pandas.
Oh, okay.
Because I was the only guy who used to pitch, design, write, direct everything.
All in one.
I mean, all in one, but I had to showcase that it's a studio.
Yeah, I understand.
Right? While shooting also, I only used to go, in my Discover bike, I used to put all tripods, lights, everything. That was fun. Like that is where I think I learnt more. But IIT's engineering side did not really help.
In the technical, obviously.
Yeah, because
it's not into that.
By the time I went to IIT itself, I was good with geometry, painting, a little bit of science, the physics part of it and all. Cinema needs a lot of common sense. That much I know.
Oh, this is
Though it's a lot of drama.
Okay.
Though it's a lot of exaggeration, you should know where to stop exaggerating it.
Wow.
I think that is something that many directors have to still crack. I mean, those movies might work, but repeating that may not work. It's not working actually, as far as what I've seen. Because let's say 10 men are flying in a fight sequence. In the next movie, they have to fly at least 5 feet away.
Okay.
And the next will go 10 feet. That is a flop. So that is my analogy. But yeah, I'm not... I'm a very, very commercial cinema lover.
Okay.
My inspiration was Chiranjeevi sir. So
excellent.
I would definitely like that kind of cinema, even to make that kind of cinema. So... that's what the science part of it should also be taken care, because now we have to respect audience more than before.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you gave me a segue to my next question. Movie world for me, I'm like a big movie buff, and I watched almost like everyday movie for 5 years in my grad and all. I wish my parents are not looking into this podcast. But when we see, it's a fantasy for us, right? I always felt when I came out of a movie, I felt I was the hero. That's, I think, most of them feel.
We relate. That is why a movie is a hit or a flop.
Yeah.
We should relate first.
So, movie is larger than life.
Right.
So, should we keep it only in fantasy? Or what do you think a movie should be?
It can go fantasy, but not beyond a point of respect.
Okay.
Is what I feel. Like, I don't know how many would know this. Jagadek Veerudu Athaloka Sundari is my all-time favorite fantasy film.
Me too. Yeah. Asalu.
Chiranjeevi sir. Yeah.
Sar asalu.
That is insane.
Insane.
What the beauty of cinema as an industry is, Raghavendra Garu had a series of flops. Chiranjeevi sir had a few debacles at that time. Ashwini Dutt Garu was a producer who now has to invest a lot of money. The costliest film in the Telugu film industry was at that time Jagadek Veerudu Athaloka Sundari. Now these people come to create a miracle. which they didn't even know, because they've released the film and it was floods and cyclones everywhere in Andhra and Telangana place. But still, it's one of the highest grosses. That's the beauty of cinema. Once you engage people, it can't be stopped. So what I feel is, still in that movie, Raju is a tourist guide. Right? It's a very, you would have never met a tourist guide in general.
Correct.
But they make it very relatable. He communicates with us in the film. That relatability has to be there. But there is a fine balance between fantasy and this relatability.
Okay.
So, I can't define a meter of where it should stop. But cinema for me is reflection of life.
Okay.
You should first be connected to at least one of the characters in the film. Like, for example, Aditya 369 is my always, it's an inspiration for me.
Yeah.
For me, Interstellar and Aditya 369 are equally important. Right? Now in Aditya 369, because that inspired me to write one of the scripts, I think, the stat, if you see, this is my current goal to make this film. It's called Dhira.
Okay.
So there is a pitch film trailer. So Aditya 369 and Interstellar both are inspiration for that film, but it's not a time travel film. In both these films, these people should be relatable. The protagonist or the antagonist or the female lead, you have to connect with one of the characters. Because if you see Amitabh Bachchan garu doing that angry young man character at one point, that was when the India economically was little suppressed. The middle, middle class sect wanted someone to take a reference and fight back. When you relate to that person, that is why it worked.
Yeah.
Then Shah Rukh Khan comes. He does the, this romantic stuff and all. Wherein at that era, maybe people are little comfortable and they were trying to find love. Probably.
Yeah.
Right? And even Chiranjeevi garu at one point was, that gang leader and all that. After that came Annaya, Daddy, where people were little comfortable and now they want to, it happens by default, I feel. Cinema and society go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do go hand in hand, because
there has to be responsibility.
Yeah. Given your journey from a dropout to a director, what is your advice for people who have self-doubt, or they are like, okay, inka avadu, maatoti kaadu ane vallaki, what is your advice? Because you would have gone through that.
Coming to the journey part, a little correction. I don't feel my journey has started when I was a dropout. I think it was when I started painting only, as a kid. Because that is when the fascination for, geometry, colors, in fact, as a kid, I thought movies were not made by humans. It was because like my parents used to talk about God or something. I thought something like that, some power like that would have been doing art also, for that matter. When I started painting, I realized that, okay, humans are doing painting. Okay, so I'm able to do it. I'm winning awards, international, national awards, and all are coming. But I was more fascinated about moving images, cartoons. And cartoons, I've decided this is not humans.
Okay.
Okay, so Walt Disney is something else only for me. Right? So that was one aspect. So that is where the fascination, the journey has started. The dropout part, or I can say the getting into IIT part was a hiccup for me, not the dropping out part.
Okay.
I think me getting into IIT itself was a hiccup, because the size or the image IIT has maybe overwhelmed me, and suddenly people are like, Harsha got into IIT. So till that point it was like artist Harsha.
Okay, then IIT Harsha.
I don't understand the hypocrisy there. Because artist Harsha, how can a very good artist Harsha get into a very good engineering college? That was my doubt. I was not understanding the logic.
Right.
Then after some time I realized where the logic didn't work for people. So now if I have to talk about dropping out to director, I would say maybe from being an artist to direction. Because there is this uncle called Krishna. He was the first person who showed me a 3D animated movie called Finding Nemo.
Okay.
He is a painter in Telugu film industry.
Okay.
I have to mention his name because he was the first person who explained me what art direction is.
Okay.
Then I thought I'll be a good art director because I was into painting. Then later I realized it's not just painting. Okay. It was about creating set pieces. Like in Jagadekveer Datilok Sundari again, or Aditya 369. The time machine was made by an art director.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this was fascinating me. That is why I got into architect. I applied for architecture and I cracked it, but I didn't get into architecture because I got IIT seat. So it was like, I mean, people would say, right, why do you want to take an IIEEE architecture? I didn't understand that also, because I didn't even know IIT full form till I went to the counseling day.
Oh.
I just wrote JEE. I didn't even know what is JEE. I just wrote the exam. I cracked it. In IIT Madras, the counseling was happening. Then I saw the board. I am like, okay, IIT is not IIT or something. It is I, Indian Institute of Technology. So that confused me again.
Okay.
Right. So now if I have to talk about self-doubt or something, I think if I could do, anybody can do. Okay. Why? Because I was a very introvert kid. I used to cry for everything. Even if my mom says that she'll be back by 9 p.m., if it is 9:01, I'll start crying. So I was a very, very introvert kid. Even my sister mentioned it in one of the interview questions. One of my previous interviews. Suddenly, the interviewer asked, "How did introvert become an extrovert?" I'm like, did you talk to my family? Because no one else knows that.
Okay.
That side of me. My sister was saying that I don't know how he even became an artist. He's such an introvert. Yeah. So if I could do it, anybody can do it. I mean, I have not done a film or something by now. But whatever I could do, like whatever I'm talking in an interview now. If you had called me for an interview, even if I'm a star director or something, I wouldn't have come. That was me. Okay. But when you get a self-doubt, sit and process. Self-doubt is very good. There is no problem in having self-doubt.
Okay.
But you should not stay there.
Okay.
Start putting it into actions.
Okay.
If you're doubting something, try it. If you're doubting if you can switch on a camera or not, switch it on and see.
Okay.
Nothing catastrophic would happen, right? You have to just switch it on, see. Because I'm a very self-learned artist, or I had a formal training, but it came naturally to me, the painting part. I was a cinematographer, I was an editor, and I just learned. Back then there was no YouTube also.
Yeah.
I just started cracking the softwares. I messed up a lot of stuff. I got abuses from my clients. Not clients, previous people. Like when my friends or something, like, why did you crash the software? And all. I did not crash it. It crashed. Okay. But there were methods to minimize the damage. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Because I didn't get a formal training.
Right.
So I joined an academy also. But before that, in IIT itself, I learned my editing skills, animation skills and all. So I feel self-doubt is very good. But don't stay in that phase. Put it into actions. Let it clear off by itself. Nobody can come and tell you, "Ki Harsha, you can do it." Maybe because I was an artist, my father and mother always believed in me, saying that, they did not tell me that I can do it, but they didn't stop me.
Wonderful.
They had doubts, but
they didn't express it and stop you.
Yeah, I can't always say that my parents didn't inspire me or something, because I'm a 90s kid.
Yeah.
And I know where their insecurities come from.
Yeah.
They were open than many other parents, because I am seeing my neighbors and all. I know how much their kids are suffering. So my father and mother were much better than that. And I feel self-doubt has to be solved within, is what I feel. There can be many methods. Like some people say yoga, or some people might say spirituality, or distractions. But those distractions is somewhere you have to limit yourself. Drinking cannot be a distraction. Okay. That's what I feel. These kind of habits can distract you way too away from your goal. Right. Alcohol can just, make you sleep for some time, but it'll again aggravate. So recently I have studied it somewhere that practically proven also. Alcohol, the biggest scam in the world. Like for example, you have alcohol and you sleep, you think you are sorting it out, but next day it'll aggravate you to think of the thing the problem even more now. So you start drinking more.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle, and you start falling into the loop, and the chemicals, the methanol or whatever is used, triggers that. That is why different alcohols they say smooth alcohol, it is hard and all. So all these things happen they react to your body very differently. So it's not at all good to have alcohol, even for a fancy
Got it.
statement is what I feel. If you think that will repair your thoughts,
Understood.
it won't repair.
Great. I think this is very important for people to understand.
Yeah.
When I get self-doubt and I just keep a drink in next to me and I feel like a hero, you're right. Next day I might be the bigger villain.
Absolutely. I mean,
So-
why do you think some people react very weirdly when they drink?
So that's
It's the reactions to that.
So
alcohol.
we call it in Dharma, we call it conscious mind, unconscious mind, and superconscious mind.
Okay.
These are three different minds which we have. Typically, we are in conscious because we are talking and we have a conscience, we call it. When we actually drink, people think they're super conscious. Unfortunately, they're unconscious.
They're unconscious.
They don't know what their mind is listening. And
Absolutely.
you're not giving any orders to your mind. So it's actually a different ball game altogether.
Exactly.
Coming back to the self-respect, and that is the reason why we have called you for an interview, to be frank, because you talk in a way which is exactly what is told in Bhagavad Gita without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Arjuna had self-doubt. The first chapter of Gita, Bhagavad Gita, is all about self-doubt. In our language, if we have to speak in like what we speak outside, both of us,
Right.
బావా నాతో అయితలేదు, నా వల్ల కాదు,
Yeah.
ఇక్కడ నా గురువు ఉన్నాడు, నేను చంపనీకి నాకు అయితలేదు అని he just left the Gandhi. Imagine you shooting with Mahesh Babu, hero. First shot, and you put on the camera, switch off the camera and said, అన్నా నాతో అయితలేదు అనే కాన్సెప్ట్లో Arjuna was there. That's exactly what self-doubt he had.
Right.
And you exactly told the answer for it also, what Krishna tells, which says reflect,
Okay.
and only you can reflect.
Yeah. It
Nobody,
should happen from within.
Yeah, Krishna told so much of things, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
After 670 or 80 verses, he says, Arjuna, you take your decision, bro. అంటే ఇంత చెప్పింది మరి నేను ఏం చెప్తావో వెయిట్ చేస్తాను ఏం చేయాలని.
Yeah.
He still says choice is yours.
Absolutely. Like even we get a lot of free advice.
Yeah.
Because it is free, people give the advice. So it's good to listen. If you're impatient, just tell to stop. Okay. Like let's say, because you can't think through.
అవును.
When you're impatient, you can't, process what they're saying.
Right.
Or just listen. Take everything. Give it its own time. But choice is ultimately yours. Nobody can decide for you. Even if it is your parents.
This sounds very scripted thing, but నేను నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ అడిగేదానికి you are actually telling me the same thing. I know, but this is not the order we are thought about. But when you said listen about advice, free advice, you might get criticism also.
Yeah.
I'm sure వచ్చేసి ఆ ఫ్రేమ్ అలా పెట్టుంటే అని చెప్పుండొచ్చు చాలా మంది. హౌ డు యూ టేక్ క్రిటిసిజం? బాగాలేదు హర్ష, ఏదో ఇంకా చేసుంటే బాగుండేది.
Yeah, it is nice, but you should also realize that it is his opinion, his or her opinion.
ఓకే.
Okay. Maybe if your mentors are talking about it, whom you think is your mentor, because he becomes your reference point at a point in life. So, I mean, if public in general are giving an opinion, let's say for a movie, when they are watching as a community, there are many factors that would affect, right? So, as a community, when you're watching, the criticism is very different. As a single person, if you want to give an opinion about something, it's a very different thing.
Okay.
And you should also know in what conscience is that person talking about your work, especially in art field. Criticism is very subjective, is what I feel. Okay. And like people like Bharadwaj Rangan Garu or Anupama Chopra ji, or these very experienced people talk. What I like about Bharadwaj Rangan Garu is the way he observes each frame, each shot, even the production design he observes. If a person like that talks about my film, I would understand.
Okay.
I should take it.
Okay.
But if, a person who is just a movie buff, if he's telling that he likes or dislikes something in your film, maybe think through it, because you might also not like something in the film.
Okay.
In your film itself.
Okay.
In your own film, you might not like some parts. If majority of the people are not liking it, maybe there is something wrong. But if you like something and if still the majority of people are not liking, maybe you want to give a thought, you want to show something to the world which they are not ready yet.
Okay.
That is one aspect. Okay. Like, for example, I might suddenly say that marriage as a system I won't like. My personal opinion. And I want to push it on people.
Okay.
That won't work.
Okay.
Okay. But you can tell it in a subtle way that marriage should be done in a certain way or something like that. Criticism comes in different varieties is what I feel. You should not take everyone seriously.
Okay.
If you want to really progress in your art form. Even Rajamouli Garu has a lot of criticism. There are many people who told me that they don't like Triple R and Bahubali.
What?
Yeah, they don't like Triple R. Like Bahubali, still I feel that, here and there might be issues. But for me, Triple R, I watched it in theatre 24 times.
Bah.
For me, it's a lovely film. Okay. Because it was technically very seamless.
Beautiful. Exactly. I agree with that.
Okay. It's technically very seamless and the drama worked for me.
Yeah.
And the CG was much better than many Hollywood films also.
Oh, yeah.
Many places. Okay. And pulling that off in the shoestring budget that we put generally. Like in one of the interviews, he told that, they use tennis balls, laser lights and all for that interval block where the animals and all go, right?
Right, yeah.
If it was Hollywood, they would have used a very different simulators and all.
Oh, okay.
Right? That would have been much accurate. But how did this man judge that accuracy with just tennis balls and all?
So when you are actually talking about RR, I think somehow మనం చాలా ప్లాన్ చేసినట్టు అనిపిస్తుంది కానీ I don't know how. The questions are all coming up exactly in what we are talking about. What is your preference? Is it a great story to be told or visually చాలా బాగుండాలి? ఇప్పుడు RRR లాగా.
I mean, be it RRR or 96. 96 is a drama, right?
Right.
If there are no good visuals, the story is not well told.
Okay.
Because you have to tell story through camera. In Triple R, you can actually put a lot of beautiful, pretty shots.
Okay.
But he went with shots which will tell the drama.
Okay.
Like for example, that 2000 men or 10,000 men fight is there. The introduction of Ram Charan Garu. You can actually put a lot of stunning visuals there. Because there was scope. Like 300 movie lo చూపించినట్టు slow mos, crowd falling onto him. He wanted to create chaos there. If you can't show chaos there, then the story is not well told. You can create slow-mo visuals and like for example, there are many movies which get away with slow motions. That always may not work. But a good storytelling will always work. It can be a box office failure, but they become cult classics at least.
Yeah.
For example, okay, for you, tell me what is visually stunning movie in recent times, probably.
For me, RRR it was, for sure. Yeah.
And it was, people think there are stunning visuals because it worked with the story also.
When you are telling about that story of introduction of Ram Charan Garu, is like, I felt I was fighting.
Subconsciously, you'll see. Like, for example, in that entire fight, there are only like 5-6 slow-mo shots, I guess. Because one is when he is hit with the rock on the head.
Correct. Yeah.
Second is when he is coming inside the fence.
Right.
At that point where he hits the fire and all falls. But in Junior NTR's chase sequence with the tiger, there are more slow-mo shots. The impact has to be given according to the scene.
Perfect.
Right? You can't just put, because NTR is there, you have to put a slow-mo shot. No.
Okay.
It won't work always.
So with the visual effects, you should elevate the story.
Than the visual effects part, I would say visuals.
Okay.
Right? Visual effects is just to enhance, like how camera is a tool, visual effects is also a tool. You can't keep on telling stories with visual effects. That will not work. That will never work. You can't always impress with VFX. Then you can make a 3D animated movie. That is much better. That's what I feel. So for me, the preference is always storytelling. Okay. Now, I'll tell it in a way which is visually pleasing.
Okay.
In whichever genre it is. Like for example, you can't put stunning visuals in a horror film maybe. It's very scary because you won't focus on how the visual or lighting is coming there. Because you're engaged in the horror aspect of it, right?
Correct.
Than a drama. You're more scared, right? Still there are movies like Nope. It's an English movie. They shot it in IMAX. It's about alien coming, some kind of horror film. Those visuals are stunning. Like, they bring beauty in the thing. Like, you are still scared. But you can't get away without appreciating the visuals. So, it's always a fine balance. But for me, story comes first.
Not probably this time not going to Dharma, but it is going to AI.
Okay.
What we heard, and one of our very important leader told that if you put only AI, nothing will work. AI will enhance your expertise. It will not replace your
Even
expertise.
after 100 years, it is the same.
So expertise is still required, but AI will only help you to make the expertise
Yes.
better.
I still have this little funny thought. Allow AI to direct also.
It did.
Uh,
One of the movie it did the complete AI direction. It was done by screenplay was done by it.
okay. No, direction. Like,
Oh, direction. Okay.
and then see how the film will come.
Film
There-
itself is creativity,
Yes.
and AI is the only thing which the AI doesn't have is creativity.
Exactly. They are just tools. Like, for example, you have Excel now to fill the data sheet or something. Like that only AI will enhance.
Yeah.
It will speed up your work.
Yeah.
If you are too dependent on AI, then you are not a filmmaker anymore.
Yeah.
Like
You
if
just
you ask AI, give me a very stunning story, what will it give? Like a story that would go with Mahesh Babu, if they say from past 5-6 movies, that's not what fans really want. Maybe I don't know. I'm just giving an example. Mahesh Babu is my favorite hero, but if AI comes and starts telling stories also, I don't feel you will still have a human connect in.
No. Human in the loop is the big thing in AI.
Yeah.
If you do not have human, AI is just like any
I
other
don't think
machine.
you can market a AI film, because with James Cameron's name you market Avatar. So
Yeah,
that
tomorrow
human connect has to be.
we might say, "Hey Siri, tell me a story."
Rhyming bone.
Coming back to one important aspect which we see in movies, creating a hype as well as maintaining the sanctity, right? Like
The integrity of the film.
integrity
let's
of the
say.
film, or should we just hype it so that people just come? We don't use that, but I typically do not like this clickbait thumbnails, right?
Right.
Isn't hype equivalent to that, or should we have the hype for a
Relevant hype is important for a film. Like you spend 500 crores, and if there is no hype, people only will doubt if they have really made a film or not.
okay?
Right? Publicity is what I call it, marketing and publicity of a film. Let's say for Barbie, they've literally left pink balloons in New York.
Yeah.
You know that what is that called? Times Square.
Times Square.
But Nolan didn't do that, and they both are releasing on the same day.
Yeah.
For Oppenheimer, right? Here in Oppenheimer, different aspects would work. Like it's a biopic. Cillian Murphy is first time doing a lead. I mean, in a feature film.
Correct.
And Christopher Nolan is the director. These names are enough to create the intrigue, because he has done Dark Knight and all that. Wherein for Barbie, the director is known more for feminine stories and all these, but she's a fantastic storyteller. And it's a very simple story, but still Barbie had to do a lot of marketing. Everywhere you go, you had just listened to Barbie.
Correct.
People forgot about Top Gun. I know Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
That is coming in the next week.
Right.
Now, if the publicity was not there for Barbie, you wouldn't have gotten the hype that it had to compete with Oppenheimer.
Okay.
Okay. So it should always be dependent on the release date, your competitors, and what the movie vibe is. You can't simply put a shot of Margot Robbie from low angle to give a heroic elevation, and you can't cut a teaser like that.
Okay.
It has to be, that's what, sanctity, the integrity of the film. You should not fake too much.
Okay.
Actually, you should not fake at all. You have to
Right.
just tell audience of what you are coming into the auditorium for.
Wonderful.
Preparing the audience is very important. That is, in India, I think Rajamouli garu is the best for that.
No, product management wise, if you look at, I was a product manager and I'm still a product manager. ఒక ప్రోడక్ట్ని అంత బాగా తయారు చేయడం ఎంత ఇంపార్టెంటో దాన్ని అంత బాగా సెల్ చేయడం చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇఫ్ ఎనీ వన్ ఆఫ్ దెమ్ ఇస్ నాట్ దేర్, యూ విల్ యాక్చువల్లీ a failure.
Absolutely.
That's why he doesn't have a failure.
Yeah.
He is both.
Yes,
He is
yes.
perfect. He is
If there is no necessity of that, there wouldn't be creating these many departments for sales,
Exactly.
marketing and all that. See, for example, Rajamouli garu's, there is a thesis now in IIM Ahmedabad which talks about Bahubali 2's marketing.
బ్యూటిఫుల్, లవ్లీ. అసలు అది నిజంగా కేస్ స్టడీ.
Yeah, if the movie
It is worth that case study.
Yeah, exactly. So Arca Media Shobhu garu and Kartikeya garu has done so much work.